Email marketing should be your most profitable marketing channel because it costs basically nothing to send emails to people. If you can't make money off of advertising your product or your services for basically free directly into the inboxes of people who have shown some interest in your stuff, then I'm going to help you out. Because if you're here, then you're probably a business owner, a freelancer, an entrepreneur, someone that's just curious. And all of you are probably looking for a quick answer to what should be a simple question. How do you get started with this stuff? How do you pick the right email service provider? How do you just set up your email? And instead, you got a 25-minute video sales letter from someone trying to sell you his software. That's going to stop. I'm not going to do that here. My name's Arcia. This is my literal job. I run email campaigns for e-commerce and personal brand clients. I run cold email campaigns to generate leads for clients. And I even put it all together and help launch products and courses and paid communities for brands with audiences. But we'll talk about that later. Whether you're a business owner, a freelancer, or someone with a personal brand, this is going to be the perfect place to start. I'm not going to over talk here. I'm going to explain everything that you need to know. And this is going to be the best fundamentals of email marketing for a beginner. It's going to be everything that I wish I knew when I started. You are going to walk away with a basic email template, what to consider when picking your email service provider and your email marketing platform, and then 3 keys to writing an effective email in any niche or industry. Whether you have an e-commerce business, a personal brand, whatever it is, this is going to be foundational. Okay, email can truly be the most profitable and engaging channel, actually turning people into fans, not just making money, but actually building a community if done properly. So everything else on the internet is either intentionally gate kept, so you have to buy a course, it's incomplete, or it's just a bunch of bots trying to sell you an email tutorial, and really it's just a tutorial for their own email service provider. I got nothing to sell you. Unless you want someone to just do all of this for you instead of having to watch YouTube videos about it. Otherwise, we're going to dive right in. Okay, writing your first email. What you're going to need is the subject line, a header, your CTA, which is call to action, your body text, preview text, and then maybe a subheader. Okay, the subject line is obviously the subject line of the email. That's the first thing that anyone sees. It's the most important part of the email. If you have a bad subject line, they're not going to click the email. Everything you wrote inside, never going to get seen. Okay, once they click the email, the header is the second most important part, right? It should dictate what it is that the email is about and kind of guide the person and frame whatever you're about to discuss, right? It can almost feel like a second hook when you're writing it. Then the CTA, the call to action, is the action you want them to take. This needs to be clear. Otherwise, you're just yapping, basically. Then the body text, obviously. The preview text is when in your inbox, right underneath in the kind of the faded text, you'll see a description about like what the email might be. It's just kind of secondary text. And you might want to throw a subheader in there every now and again. It just helps with formatting, but honestly, not really needed. Now, when it comes to email design, personal brands, I actually think you don't need to really worry about design, because most of the time when it comes to a personal brand, you want it to look just professional enough. You want to communicate that though. And frankly, as I've noticed, a lot of people just want to feel like they're getting a personal note from someone, like a letter that someone wrote. And a lot of these emails will feel like that. They want to feel like they're almost texting you. Now, that being said, for an e-commerce store, it does help to put some time into making a clean and engaging graphic because it helps with the brand building. It gives kind of the aesthetic that you want. And so that's where I'm going to take you to reallygoodemails.com. If you're wondering, where do I get that? How do I do it? This is a great resource. Okay, you can go free account and you can pick any of these and just get inspiration. Just see how any of these guys are doing it. You got Huel here. You've got premium memberships. If you just click one of these, for instance, let's just do... This one's kind of unique, right? Okay, you've got an image, some compelling text, all of that, right? You can click view more about this email, and you can literally take the code yourself, and you can just put it in, and you can edit it for whatever you need. Maybe it's more of the text that you're interested in. You want to get a sense of how they're using the formatting, and maybe they use, like here it is, the subheader and the header text are a little bit different. You can get a sense of that as well, and maybe you can just copy that copy. So this is a great resource if you do need to brand it. Do not spend a lot of time on this. My point with this entire video is that this is the hard, quick, and fast. You're going to get an email out. You could do this all today. Okay? Now, you want to start sending emails. Number one, you don't want to send them from, yourbusiness@gmail.com. You want to buy a domain. How do you buy a website? How do you get the @.com? Really easy. You're going to buy, it's called a domain. That's what it's called. Just go to Squarespace or GoDaddy. Don't overthink it. Just go there. Don't worry about what's better, what's not. It's going to cost you $20 a year unless you buy something that's like literally like retention.com or something. So Then how are you actually going to send the emails? Because buying a website does not mean that you can send the emails. You need to use what's called an email provider, an email service provider. ESP is also what it's called. So this is kind of the tech stack right here. You buy the domain, the website. Then you want to send emails from that. You need an ESP, email service provider, to send emails from that domain. You will link them up together. Once you'll be able to send an email, the customer receives it, you profit. Okay. So what do you decide for your email service provider? Again, don't overthink it, okay? Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you already use. If you use Yahoo, go use Yahoo. If you use Gmail a lot, just find Gmail. Outlook, just find Outlook. Just Google it and take it away from there. Don't overthink it. Don't weigh the costs and benefits or whatever. For the things that you're going to be doing, it's not going to be, you're not going to notice any difference, okay? So it's going to be minimal. Just dive into whatever makes sense. Then you want to pick an email marketing platform. What you want to consider are these three things, okay? Deliverability, segmentation, and A/B testing. These are really, if you're just starting out, these are probably the only things that really matter that you want to just make sure that you have when you're going in and investing in one. Don't sit for an hour and do the pros, cons, and look at all of these articles from G6 or whatever telling you, what the differences are. This is all you need to know. Deliverability is what actually makes your emails deliverable into an inbox, i.e. not marked as spam, okay? There are some tools in some of these email marketing platforms that will help you set your domain up so that you avoid this. And it will also keep you up to date with your grades. It'll help you do an email warm-up, a couple other things as well. That's a really important one. Then segmentation. You don't want to send emails necessarily to just everyone all the time, right? There might be some cases where you do send a couple of those. You're doing a big sale or something, but oftentimes you want to be segmenting based on different types of engagement. Maybe you have people that have purchased from you before. You want to send them a different message. Maybe you have some people that have taken some action or have engaged with you in some other way. You want to be able to engage them. Or people that haven't, you want to be able to send them something and maybe offer them something unique. Okay, segmentation is super important. And then lastly, the ability to A/B test. You want to see what's performing, what people are resonating with. You might try out 2 offers over email and see which one's performing better, okay? These 3 things, beyond this, frankly, you probably won't need it, at least when you're starting out. This is all you really need to worry about. And before you go and say, okay, well, what email service provider? This is all you need, okay? Klaviyo, really good for e-commerce. They have an SMS function as well. It's solid. It's popular. ActiveCampaign, if you have a personal brand, you're selling courses, or maybe you're in sales, then this helps with detailed customer journeys. They have a lot of automations, and it's very sophisticated for some of the customer journeys and the purchase behavior. You can have different actions being taken, and it can get pretty in-depth. Again, if it really depends on the industry. If you want that, go for it. And then ConvertKit, really good for just personal brands, blogs, newsletters, digital products. If you have a personal brand, this one is blowing up right now. It's kind of the newest kid on the block. My whole thing with this, pick one, stick with it. Don't worry about, is it the best, this, that, and the other. It's fine. One of these is going to be okay. Just pick one and start. Don't get caught up in all of that. Okay? Lastly, writing an email. Okay? There are 3 things that go into writing an email in any niche that you should be able to make sure of. Number 1, subject lines. Nothing else matters if you have a bad subject line. To write a good subject line, you need to understand your customer. Okay? All of your customers are completely self-centered. Okay? They all just want to know what's in it for them. So if you write an email that's like, oh, the health, we have the healthiest, blah, 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 like that might work for some people. But if you say something that's closer to prevent X from happening, I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to write you some good ones and bad ones. Okay. Here's one from a coffee company, right? You could send something like, freshly brewed this week. Who cares, right? You want to make something that's about them. Why would it be interesting to them? Highest quality beans delivered to you. Maybe you ship it to them, right? Some feature, some benefit, okay? This is really basic. Don't overthink this, right? If you have any promo, check this out. Who cares, right? You have something exciting to share, but they don't draw that from there. 25% off sale today. It's a direct response copywriting subject line. It tells you exactly what you're going to get, and it's a benefit directly to them, okay? Shoe store. If the shoe fits, it's cute. It's some quote from a movie, right? But it has nothing to do with them. They don't gain anything from that, and they know it's a sales email. They're probably going to skip over it. Something like the most comfortable sneaker you'll ever wear is going to be a lot more effective, okay? Number 2, your CTA, your call to action. Every email should have a CTA, okay? Do not be afraid, in my opinion, to sell on every email, to at least to mention that they can do something for you, or that they can purchase from you, or that they can engage with you on every email. There's no harm, as long as the email is relevant, as long as it's typed nicely, as long as it's cool and they enjoyed reading. If they read the entire thing and at the very bottom it's like, hey, by the way, XYZ, or maybe it's a nudge, whatever it is, there's no issue with that. But if you leave no action for them to take, if it's just a feel-good email, then just know that it won't convert into anything. It depends on your goals. If you're doing a brand building exercise, then so be it. But even then, I would encourage you to ask them to engage, right? I encourage you to say, like, what do you think? Or send me what you're doing this week. Something like that. Some call to action to get them to at least respond to you, even if you're not selling them anything, right? CTA doesn't always mean that you have to tell them to buy from you. It can also be, hey, to engage with me, right? I want to hear from you. Send me back your ideas. That's valuable market research for you, often overlooked. Last thing, deliverability audit. Okay, there's a lot of places you can get a free one. You can just Google free deliverability audit online. I'll actually show you the one I use. So these are free. I literally searched Lemlist is the one I use. It's just right up here at the top. You go here, and it just checks how well your domain is going to perform. It's very easy. You copy this and you send an email from the domain you want to check. So you could try this with your own Gmail if you'd like, right? Send an email and try it to see, what the results are going to be, and it'll tell you what's missing, right? You might have some things missing in your DNS. You might have maybe done some poor emailing before, and you need to do a warm up on the IP because you sent too many emails. If none of this makes sense to you, don't worry about it. It's stuff I'll explain in another video. Just check and see, because it'll give you some instruction as to whether or not your emails are even landing. You can write a beautiful email, but if your stuff's going into spam, doesn't matter. Okay? These are all the tips that you will need, that I wish I had when I first started, just to get started, just to get your foundations to start being able to send emails. Now, you have the option of doing all this, setting all this up, doing it all yourself, and then setting up your first email campaigns and deciding what those flows and all of that should be. Or just have me do it. We can jump on a call and we can talk about your goals. No commitment there, but I'll leave a scheduling link in the description, and I hope to hear from you soon. Enjoy.